Welcome back. We have a media watch for you which has a completely French theme. However, this is a story of some international importance, having touched both sides of the Atlantic and seeing a man in a great position fall to, well, still being a rich man, but certainly being a man that now many people think very differently about. He's Dominique Strauss-Kahn. James Creedon's here. Strauss-Kahn last night on TF1, the French independent or commercial network broadcaster, having an interview with Strauss-Kahn, with one of their top TV anchors. What's the reaction been?
Well, let's have a look at what some of the reaction has been online. Mark, Reuters today came out with their sum up of what the French press has been saying, and I think they've done a pretty good job, actually. Strauss-Kahn apology seen as contrived and staged. If we move to L'Express, one of the big weekly magazines, that Strauss-Kahn called a tabloid during his interview because they brought out some negative stuff.
He called L'Express a tabloid.
He called L'Express a tabloid, and they're calling him an actor. DSK Le Comédien.
Le Comédien.
If we go to Le Nouvel Observateur, they say that he had his whole strategy was to confess, to look contrite and to confess. And indeed, if we have a look at some of the key moments, you can see that there was a big contrast between how his approach at the beginning of the interview and later on when he started speaking about the economy. We'll just have a look at some of those scenes.
Est-ce que vous estimez que la justice américaine a été particulièrement violente à votre égard?
Comment vous dire? J'ai eu peur.
So you can see here a big pause. Basically, he paused for a very, very long time. And then a little bit later, when he starts speaking about the economy, look at how animated he is. So I think a lot of people are saying this was contrived. It wasn't a sincere performance, I suppose. It was very clearly prepared in minute detail.
I think it was inevitable that it would be prepared given the situation. However, the fact that the interviewer is a friend of the family, surely that must have created some talk online.
Absolutely. That was one of the big criticisms online today. He's a big noise in the French media world. Alain Duhamel, he came out this morning on RTL Radio and he was highly critical of this. Across the blogosphere, the same thing. DSK, Claire Chazal, and the triumph of style over substance. Look at this tweet. Dear Claire, best of luck for tonight. Looking forward to lunch on Tuesday. With kisses, Anne. So because that's pointing to, it's a tongue-in-cheek sort of take on the fact that Anne Sinclair, Dominique Strauss-Kahn's wife, is a friend of Claire Chazal, therefore not very independent, some might say. And if we even have some scenes from that interview, and there hasn't just been criticism of Claire Chazal, there's been criticism of the way in which it was produced. You see here the future in the background, with almost a presidential-looking photo of Dominique Strauss-Kahn and Anne Sinclair, basically pointing to a rosy future, some might say.
Of course, Strauss-Kahn nowhere explained exactly what happened in the hotel suite, nowhere explained why he was having this relationship, or as he calls it, with this maid that he never met before. Right,
and indeed, the New York Times pointed this out as well, that there was rumours of another woman in the Sofitel Hotel around that period of 2-3 days when he was staying there. That question was never asked either. The New York Times is asking that question, though. And so, yes, I suppose the big factor then, the big thing that came out today was an interview on the Canal Plus network with the other woman taking a case against him, Tristan Banon. Let's have a look at what she had to say about that.
It's just not right that you give somebody 20 minutes on the main evening news like he's some kind of a rock star to someone who, yep, he isn't yet guilty, but who is implicated in 2 cases in 2 different countries.
Of course, these revelations would make any politician anywhere else in the world completely persona non grata, unelectable, not able to show his face again. But this is France.
Absolutely. And so she basically said to be treated like a rock star, to be given 20 minutes like that on the main evening news show with perhaps not the hard-hitting questions. So she's not too pleased about that. And indeed, across the board, there have been lots of other criticisms. Some are saying, too, he brandished the report. This was the prosecutor's report. This has been another big criticism. He brandished it something like 11 times, holding it in the air, saying people have to go and read this. Well, Le Monde did, and they're saying what the actual prosecutor's report really said wasn't really what Dominique Strauss-Kahn indicated in the interview. There were definitely some discrepancies between his version of events and Cyrus Vance, the prosecutor's version of events. So it's just been absolutely picked apart in the media today. And I just think I'll just show this to finish with. The New York Post, who were all over it. It was just a tour de pants. So that's the New York tabloid take on it.
Just a tour de pants. There we go. James, thank you very much indeed. That concludes Media Watch. Stay with us. We've got all the day's news to come, of course, as well as sport. Djokovic slumping out of the Davis Cup tennis. And, of course, France coming second in the Europeans in basketball. There's something for everybody. Stay with us.